So we will continue with looking at Chapter 10, Triangle Trigonometry, and Angles and Right Triangles, Section 10.1. And in this video, we are going to specifically look at converting central measures of angles between degrees and radians. So when we're looking at a radian measure, it describes the same thing as an angle, but in radians. And this isn't confusing when you really think about what a radian is. And rather than going into the complete history of where a radian came from, I am going to highly recommend that you go to this Khan Academy video. He does a great job on explaining where the concept of a radian came from. One of the things that working with students over the years that I've found is that I really want you to remember and not be concerned about this right here, about the pi sign. Okay, we are going to be describing lines in pi, and I want you to be okay with that because I want you to remember that it's just 3.14. So if you see an angle, or if you see a line described in 1.3 pi, just remember it's 1.3 times 3.14, and that's okay. We will leave it in pi, and that's completely fine. Once you can get used to that abstract concept about working in pi, and it stands for 3.14, and your mind immediately goes to that it's a number and not just a symbol, makes life a whole lot easier. So we're going to forward on and look at how to convert degrees to radians. And this is a really simple process. I want you to hopefully take this formula right here, and I want you to write that onto your note card that you're going to be able to take into the test, and make sure you got it for the final exam also. And so converting from degrees to radians is just simply plug and play, taking your degrees and multiplying it times pi over 180 degrees. Again, there is a follow-up video from Mr. Khan on Khan Academy that does a really nice job on expanding this out to a little bit more detail, more colors with his pen than I have available for mine, but I'm going to basically just give you the basics on how to do this on the next couple slides. So if we're given 43 degrees and we want to go ahead and figure out the radians, then all we have to do is take it and put it into this formula over here, and we'll just go 43 degrees times pi over 180 degrees. And so with that, we will go ahead and get our calculator out. And say 43 times pi is 135.088, and then we'll take that number and divide it by 180, and we come up with 0.75. And we'll describe this, our unit, as radians, because notice that the degrees cancels out and we're left with radians. So that's our answer there. And so here's what I'd like you to do. Go ahead and try the next one on your own. So if you're given 60 degrees, go pause the video and try this one on your own. Okay, we're back, and so I'm hoping that what you did is that you said, okay, I've got 60 degrees, and I'm going to multiply that times pi over 180 degrees. And in this case, I can do some fairly simple math here, and I'm going to cancel out the degrees. Also, I know that I can cancel out the zeros, and that's 6 over 18 or 3 over 9 or 1/3. And so I have 1 pi over 3, or I have pi over 3, which I can then also go ahead and calculate. And so if I have pi divided by 3, and that equals 1.05. Let's see, 1.05, and then my units are radians. Okay, and that's how to convert between degrees to radians. We'll do the same thing, very similar, looking at radians to degrees. Again, take this formula and write that onto your note card. Be prepared to be able to have that for your final exam. And we'll go ahead, and if you think you can go ahead and do these, it's very similar, except for rather than giving degrees, you're given the formula up here, and you multiply radians. Notice that the 180 degrees is on top and pi is on bottom when you're doing these conversions. So if you'd like to stop the video and try. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve these together then. And this one is going to be 1.3 radians times 180 degrees over pi. And getting our calculator back out again, we have 1.3 times 180 equals 234 divided by pi. And that equals about 74.5 degrees. So let's go ahead and get this, move this over. .5 degrees. Okay, and the next one will be very similar. And so we will go 0.5 radians times 180 degrees over pi. And let's go ahead and multiply that out. And actually, we can look at this and say, all right, 0.5 radians is, that's a half times 180, so that's going to be 90 over pi. So save ourselves at least some calculation that we have to do. And we'll say 90 divided by pi, and we get about 28.6 degrees. Okay, and that's how to convert between radians and degrees and radians.